Hi everybody, Adam here. Welcome back to our Lego room. Super excited today. We have received our delivery of all of the latest Bricklink Designer Program sets. Always a momentous occasion. Such a cool concept. Love the sets that we've been getting through the Bricklink Designer Program. And these latest ones are definitely going to be a lot of fun to build. So let's take a closer look at each of these sets and talk a little bit about what I like about them and what I'm looking forward to building. So we will start in the middle. Really excited about the Wild West train. This is set number 910044. The set contains 3,192 pieces and was designed by Lucas. Really awesome work. Love the fact that in addition to the train, we're getting a nice little water tower and a windmill there. Really cool looking train as well. I am looking forward to motorizing this. The designer has put instructions up on Rebrickable for motorizing the train, which I think is really cool. So we will build this first, and then we will go through the process of getting it converted over to whatever power functions, powered up, etc. format we need to get this running around the layout. But I think it should be a lot of fun to have on the layout and, fun moving around in general. Love the color scheme for the train. A great steam engine on its own, but I think the red and the black and gray mixed in there go together really nicely. Really cool. Love the look of the caboose boxcar on the end there. Probably lots of opportunities to extend this train out as well by adding a few more cars. So really cool. I think this would be a nice one as well to potentially build out some track modules and some mills modules that are Wild West themed. Not something that we would have up all the time, but it would be cool to bring a bunch of modules together and to end up with a little bit of a Wild West layout, be able to run trains around it, etc. So really looking forward to building this one. And I'll show you guys the back of the box as well. I think they do a really awesome job with these boxes. Nice close-ups of a few different areas there. Looks like we're going to get some nice minifigures, some great horses. Really should be a lot of fun to put together, and then a lot of fun to have both on display and moving around the layout. So super impressed with the set. I think it's going to be a lot of fun, and hats off to the Bricklink team for making such excellent boxes as well and doing so much to really pack these sets in, a really cool format for the people who are purchasing them. So I think that is really cool. Obviously at the end of the day, it's all about what's inside the box, but it's a nice experience when a lot of detail and effort goes into the outside packaging as well. I really appreciate it anyways. So really happy with the Wild West train. Let's go on to the next set. So next up, we've got the medieval Seaside Market. This is set number 910047. And it was designed by Bricks_fan_UY. Big fan of their work. Follow them on Instagram. They do a lot of great castle medieval themed work. So really happy to be able to pick up this set. We have a number of castle sets and builds that are on the backlog to build. I think this is going to be a great addition to that. The Bricklink Designer Program has been a great source of castle sets and castle sort of medieval related sets. So really happy with that. This looks like it should be a lot of fun to build. Love the castle elements in the sort of background and at the edges there, and then cool seaside elements tied in at the front here. a great display piece on its own, but also something that I could see really easily tying into a bigger castle display. So really happy with this one. Contains 2,560 pieces. Quite large. All the sets are really large at the end of the day. There was no real small sets per se in this particular round of the Bricklink Designer Program. So that's both cool and a little bit unfortunate. It means the price points for all of these were quite a bit higher. I think it's nice when there's a bit more of a mix, but at the end of the day, I can't complain too much because I think they chose a lot of great designs for this particular round of the Bricklink Designer Program. So super happy with this castle themed set. Let's take a quick look at the back of the box. Again, really awesome work on the back side of the box here. It's cool to see the other side of the model in this case. Really nice elements with the different parts of the castle. You can see there's the entryway there. There's a couple of different towers of increasing size. A nice little wagon pulling up to the castle. So some really cool elements here, and you get the idea of how this could really be, a nice set on its own, but also a great jumping off point for a bigger castle that is bordering on some water. So really excited about this. I think it's a great looking set and looking forward to building it and having it on display here in the Lego room. Now, staying in the castle sort of genre or theme, we've got set number 910045, the Siege Encampment, designed by Sleepless Night. Really awesome work here. This set contains 2,598 pieces and is a really nice addition to any sort of castle designs you may have in mind. Love how we've got all these, we've got the trebuchet here. We've got an awesome tower thing that can get pushed along for knights to enter a castle up on the wall. We've got lots of other cool little scenes and elements around here. A wagon in the middle there, some different animals, a couple of really cool looking tents. This is definitely a great support set. I could see building all the elements here and then starting to add them to various mills modules to go around a castle. It could be like an attacking force laying siege to a castle. I think would be pretty cool. But lots of cool individual elements in there, and excited about the potential of this set. Let's take a look at the back of the box. Some cool images on the back here, gives you some close-ups of a few of the different elements, as well as, a better look at some of these individual little scenes. Again, just lots of cool stuff here. Love the, sort of siege tower here with those knights. I think that all the minifigures should be really cool in the set. Love the fact that we're getting a horse here and I guess a cow basically, or a steer. Really, really nice. You can see more of an eating scene here, an area where all the weapons are being stored and worked on there. Really, really cool stuff. So nice to see a different take on Lego castle builds here. I think this is very complementary to the other castle that we just looked at a moment ago with the medieval Seaside market there. Really excited about the potential of this. I think it should be a lot of fun to build, but also a lot of fun to try to come up with some ways that we can display and integrate those builds into other modules and things that we have on display in the Lego room. Next up, we have the Merchant Boat, Lego set 910046. This set contains 2,180 pieces and was designed by Nicholas. Really cool work. This is a great example of a set that, I don't think would ever really pop up as an official Lego set. And, that's one of the great things about the Bricklink Designer Program. We get some unique, interesting designs. and it should be a lot of fun to put this together. I'm expecting I will display it in our new Lego ship area that's kind of forming on one of the walls here in the Lego room. I think it should be a great display piece there, and it should be a lot of fun seeing how the designer went about creating this particular boat. And looking at the back of the box here, you get a nice different view of the finished model. Cool to see that there's the different components here. You can take the roof off this top part. This middle part here, the second floor, separates from the main floor of the boat. Really nicely done. We're going to get a couple minifigures at least in there by the looks of it. So should be a lot of fun to put this together. And like I said, I think it's going to be a great addition to our Lego ship display area. And, you know, it'll be fun to see how the designer went about crafting this model and, you know, creating the different shapes and elements that make up this boat. So should be a fun experience. Looking forward to putting this one together and getting it on display here in the Lego room. And then last but not least, we have Lego set 910048, the Riverside Scholars. The set contains 2,769 pieces and was designed by Harry. Really excellent work here. Another great example of a pretty unique looking build that should be a lot of fun to put together and is something that we wouldn't really get in a normal Lego set. Really love what they've done here with the different rooftops on the buildings. Just some really cool elements here that I think will be very educational to see how the designer went about putting those together. Also, really love the little bridge here and some of the little landscape elements that are you know, sort of integrated into that lower portion of the model. Another one that I think could be, you know, extra cool if mounted onto, you know, some Mills modules and we work out some other additions to the model around it. But, you know, on its own, a really cool looking structure or series of structures. And I think it'll be a lot of fun to put together and should yield some interesting techniques that we could potentially apply to other builds that we're working on as well. So really looking forward to this one. Another great display piece, I think, for the Lego room. Again, another great back of the box. Cool to see the backside of this particular model. Somewhat unfortunate that they don't have a backside to the buildings here, but you know, that is something that could be relatively easily added, and I understand why they do it. But you know, cool to see all the individual sort of rooms and the details inside each of those. Looks like we're going to get some great minifigures in here as well. But, you know, overall for me, the front side of this is really the eye-catching part and the thing that people are going to notice most when they see it on display here in the Lego room. Really awesome building, you know, roof line and landscape details that they've integrated in here. Should be a lot of fun to put together and definitely some opportunities for extending out the build if we decide to. So really happy with this. I think it should be another great build, not only for display, but should be fun to sort of experience and go through the process of building it and seeing the thought process of the designer as they went through creating this awesome looking build. So overall, really happy with this latest round of the Bricklink Designer Program. Really happy that these have all arrived now and looking forward to building them. Definitely put some pressure on us to find some great display areas for these different models, but looking forward to getting these built and on display around the Lego room. First one, I think, out of the group that we will likely end up tackling will be the Wild West train. I think this is going to be, like I said, a great addition to the room. Should be fun to run it around the layout once we get it motorized. And, you know, definitely some potential here to add train cars, potentially build out a little bit of a Wild West scene that we could set up periodically as a mini layout. Lots of cool stuff there. And I think it should give us some interesting insight into things that we can potentially do with some of the other train sets that we have in the room, thinking about the Lone Ranger, thinking about some of the other smaller locomotive train sets that we have. Probably some things that can be shared here, some insights on additional cars that we might build for those other trains. I'd be interested to see too, even with this one, if there's some alternate colorings that we can come up with. I really love the red, and we will definitely have the red forever on display and in action, but it might be cool to build another version of that train in a different color if it works out. So definitely lots of potential there, but we will get to all of these builds as soon as possible. Never a shortage of things to build around the Lego room, but really happy to have these in our collection and to be able to build them in the near future and get them on display in the room. Now, if you have not subscribed to the channel, please make sure to do so that you don't miss out on any of our upcoming videos. And thank you very much for watching. We will see you again soon. Take care. Bye.